Hello students, let's take the next abiotic factor of ecology, that is light. Light is a form of electromagnetic radiation where the electromagnetic radiation received by the earth, it ranges from 390 to 750 nanometers, out of which the visible spectrum, it ranges from 400 to 700 nanometers, whereas this visible spectrum of light, which is ranging from 400 to 700 nanometers, is called as photosynthetically active radiation, which is simply called as PAR. I mean, Earth, it is receiving 390 to 750 nanometers of light, but the visible spectrum, it ranges only from 400 to 700 nanometers. So this visible range of light is called as photosynthetically active radiation, which is simply known as PAR. Out of the total PAR, only 2 to 10% of PAR only will be utilized by the plants for its vital activity called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means ability of the plant to produce its own food material by using sunlight as its form of energy. This process, it is called as photosynthesis. So for this photosynthesis, plants are utilizing only 2 to 10% of the photosynthetically active radiation. The next topic is solar constant. Solar constant means rate of energy at which the sunlight reaches the earth's surface is called as solar constant. I mean, our earth planet, it is receiving the sunlight. When the sunlight, it is coming towards the earth planet, with what amount of energy this light, it is coming and reaching to the earth's surface, that is called as solar constant. And solar constant, it is 2 calories per centimeter square per minute. So this never changes, that's why it is called as constant. With this amount of energy only, the light rays, it will be received by the earth surface. Whereas intensity of light is measured in terms of lux by using lux meter, which is very simply called as photometer. The next topic is albedo value. Albedo value means ability of an object or surface to reflect the incoming radiation is called as albedo value, simply written as AV. I mean, any object, when it is receiving some amount of sunlight, the complete amount of sunlight which is received by an object can't be able to utilize that by that particular object. Only some amount of energy only it will be utilized by that particular object, remaining it will be reflected. So the amount of the reflected sunlight by an object is called as albedo value. I will explain albedo value by taking 2-3 examples. 80% of sunlight, it will be reflected by fresh snow, whereas 20 to 30% of the sunlight, it will be reflected by sand, whereas 5 to 10% of the light, it will be reflected by the forest. That means an object can never be able to utilize 100% of the sunlight what it is receiving. Only some amount of sunlight, it will be utilized by the object or surface, remaining it will be reflected. So the amount of light which is reflected by an object, that is called as albedo value. Here you can clearly understand, by seeing this image only you must have got some idea. Sun is the ultimate source of energy. Light, it is given by the sun, whereas this sunlight includes many types of radiations, that includes gamma rays, x-rays, uv rays, ir rays, microwaves, and also radio waves. These all are the various types of radiations that are present in this sunlight. But earth, it is covered by ozone layer, so only the light which is ranging from 390 to 750. Only this amount of light only can be received by the Earth planet, and this is all because of the ozone layer. But again, in that 390 to 750, only 400 to 700 nanometers of light only will be considered as visible light. That means some amount of light which is beyond the visible light also it is entering. Why? Because the amount of light which is received by the sun, received by the Earth planet, it is ranging from 390, but a visible light it is ranging from 400. That means this amount of light it is called UVA. That means the visible light it is between UV and also IR, whereas this UV it is again divided into UVC, UVB and also UVA. That means some whereas this UVA it is ranging from 315 to 400. Our light, our Earth it is receiving the light which is ranging from 390. That means some amount of UVA is also received by the Earth planet, whereas remaining all the light which is called as visible light, it includes VIBGR: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So these are the lights which are present in the visible light, whereas some amount of the light which is below this particular visible light also it is coming and entering into this Earth planet, that is UVA. Whereas this UV, just now if you want again I'll show you the image also. So this is visible light, whereas this is UVC, UVB and UVA. So this all comes under UV, and IR means infrared, infrared, IRA, IRB and IRC. These never comes onto the Earth's surface, whereas some amount of UV light it definitely comes onto the Earth's surface. That only we are going to discuss it now. Now the UV radiations can be again divided into three types of wavelength, that they are UVA which are moderately harmful, next one is UVB which are quite harmful, whereas UVC which are lethal. Lethal means which causes death. That means if the UVC, any organism by mistake if they are exposed to UVC, they will definitely die. Even our water purifiers may artificially we are creating the UVC radiations so that they can be able to filter or can be able to kill this particular bacteria. Whereas let us take the first one, that is UVA, which are moderately harmful rays. This UVA it is ranging from 320 to 400 nanometers. They are not energetic as UVB and UVC. UVB and UVC are very powerful than UVA radiations. They causes tanning. That means the prolonged exposure of UVA it causes darkening of our skin. For example, if you are roaming around, roaming on roads under sunlight for long time, definitely your skin color it changes to dark, and that darkening of your skin it is due to UVA. Whereas it also causes premature skin aging. That means prolonged exposure of this particular UVA it also causes aging. That means the skin loses its fitness or its actual tone by the UVA radiations, whereas some amount of UVA it obviously it comes onto the Earth surface, as I already this point already told you, because our Earth it is receiving the light ranging from 390. That means obviously some amount of UVA it is going to be received by the Earth planet. The next one is UVB. UVB radiations are very harmful, whereas these UVB radiations they are ranging from 280 to 320, and by mistake the exposure of this UVB it causes still more harmful effects like sunburns and also some of the cancers. very rarely this UVB exposure can be seen. A maximum of 5% it may be received by the Earth's planet. Whereas UVC, it is not at all going to be received by the Earth planet, because this UVC is very intensified, very powerful, very harmful also. And this particular radiations ranging from 100 to 280, they are very energetic, and they are dangerous to all the forms of life, even for short exposures also. Whereas this UVC is completely filtered by ozone layer, it never ever reaches the Earth. But we, with our intelligence, we are creating this UV radiations like in water purifiers to purify the water, because water, it is having so many harmful bacteria. So the water which is having so many bacteria, if that water, if we drink, we obviously get some types of diseases. So to filter this particular water, we are creating this UVC radiations artificially. Effects of light on plants. The first thing I need not to tell you, because every one of us know this. We are considering plants as autotrophs. Why? Because with the help of sunlight only, that means by using sunlight as the source of energy, plants are preparing their own food material. That's why they're called as autotrophs. That is the reason why plants are also called as primary producers of Earth planet. Whereas light also helps in chlorophyll production and also helps in stomatal movement. Friends, while I'm explaining you about transport of plants, I clearly explained for stomatal opening and stomatal closure, light is one of the essential factors, and most of the stomata, they belongs to photoactive stomata. I already told you very clearly, stomata is of three types. The first one is photoactive stomata, the next one is scutoactive stomata, and the last one is hydroactive stomata. Photoactive stomata means stomata which are active during the presence of light, and they remains closed in the absence of light, and most of the plants, they consisting of photoactive stomata only. Scutoactive means the stomata which are active in less temperatures or during night, they are called as scutoactive stomata. Usually you can be able to see this type of stomata in xerophytes. Whereas the last one is hydroactive stomata, which means the stomata which are active only in the presence of water. If water is present, this stomata be active. If water is absent, this stomata remains closed. That's why they are called as hydroactive stomata. This type of stomata you can be able to see in hydrophytes, that means aquatic plants. But out of all these three, the most existing stomata are nothing but photoactive stomata, that means light active stomata. So light is very essential factor for opening and closing of stomata. Hope it is clear. And light also helps in photomorphogenesis in plants, that means response of a plant towards the light. It includes photoperiodism. Photoperiodism means the duration of light exposure required by the plant is called as photoperiodism. That means how much exposure of light is required to the plant body. That requirement is called as photoperiodism. And light also helps in seed germination, and it also helps in plant movement. That is the reason why we will describe the stem as positively phototrophic. That means plants are showing some response towards light, especially stem part of the plant, it is showing response toward light. For example, if you wanted to experiment it, it's a very simple experiment, anyone can be able to observe this. Take one potted plant and keep it under shade, and it obviously bent towards the light exposure. It is a very simple experiment, students, you can try it. That means what I wanted to tell you is plant show positive response towards light, whereas it also helps in light also affects the distribution of plants. And this particular point I am going to discuss it little more clear in the next slide. And light also affects the phenology of the plant. Phenology means timing of seasonal activities of plants in related to the changes that takes place in the environmental conditions. That means response of a plant body towards the changes in the environmental conditions is called as phenology. That means phenology includes flowering in particular seasons. Let us take one easy example. Mango plant, throughout the year it will never flower. Only in particular season only it is going to flower. That means this is seasonal behavior of the plant is called as phenology. And leaf abscission. Abscission means aging of the plant part is called as abscission. Here leaf, so leaf abscission, that means aging of the leaf, it is called as leaf abscission. These are all timely. I'll tell you for this also one example. Deciduous plants. In deciduous plants, leaf abscission takes place during autumn season. Autumn season means summer season may these all plants shed off their leaves, and again when the spring season comes, again you can be able to see nice green color leaves in this particular deciduous plants. Effects of light on animals. And in animals also light is acting as a very important factor. And the first one is photokinesis. Photokinesis means regulation of speed of locomotion. I already explained you in the first chapter itself what is the meaning of locomotion. Locomotion means the organism which is moving from one place to another place, it is called as locomotion. And please don't misunderstand between locomotion and movement. Movement, every organism can be able to exhibit. Every organism can show movement. Even plants, they also can be able to show the movement. But plants can never be able to show the locomotion, because locomotion means it is changing from one place to another place. Movement means within the same place it is showing some response towards a certain stimulus, that is called as movement. Plants also show movement. How? For example, if you keep a plant under shade, it obviously show response towards, that means it starts bending towards the light. So it is a type of movement shown by the plant. But plant cannot be able to move from dark place to the light place. It cannot be able to show this particular movement. Locomotion, it cannot be able to show it. So locomotion is different from the movement. An example also, larvae of mussel crab move faster in light intensity. If the light intensity increase, that more light and it show more movement. So the regulation of the speed of locomotion due to the light, it is called as photokinesis. An example I clearly mentioned it here. In animals, light also affect growth, coloration of the body. As I already told you, light, it greatly affects the coloration of the body. If you roam outside for more longer time, obviously your skin color turns to dark. And it also helps in migration. If you take, hope you know what is migration. Migration means some organisms during unfavorable conditions, they move to the favorable conditions temporarily. Again, when the favorable conditions comes in their actual habitat, again they come back. This is called as migration. Especially this migration can be seen in the birds. Birds during summer, they will go to some other places and again they will come back to their actual habitat. This is a temporary displacement of an organism is called as migration. And it also helps in reproduction, that means finding the mates. Whereas it also helps in diapause. Diapause means suspension of the metabolic activities by the organism is called as diapause. Whereas it also helps in seasonal and diurnal activities. Diurnal means, I already told you many times in your regular class, nocturnal and diurnal. That means the plants or animals which show movement in dark, it is called as a nocturnal. Whereas the animals are the organisms which show the movements are active during daytime, that is called as a diurnal. Whereas light is a limiting factor in deep water which affects the distribution of plants and also animals in the aquatic ecosystem. Now, on the basis of the requirement of light by plants, plants can be categorized into two groups. The first one is heliophytes and next one is xeophytes. Heliophytes can be also called as photophilous or heliophilous or very easily sun-loving plants. Whereas xeophytes also called as xeophilous or heliophobous or shade loving plants. In the name itself you can clearly understand these plants, they grow actively in the presence of the active sunlight, whereas they can't be able to tolerate the direct sunlight. They grow under shade, that means under the canopy of big trees. Whereas heliophytes plants grow in open sunlight, that is in full range of sunlight. Whereas xeophytes plants grow below the shade of other tree, that means under canopy of big trees, and their saturation point, that means their tolerance level of sunlight is only 20%. Whereas plants are more resistant to the temperature and drought. I mean, heliophytes are more resistant towards temperature and drought, whereas xeophytes, they are less resistant to temperature and drought. Whereas I have given for your understanding few examples also: sunflower, coconut, and some zero and all the xerophytes. These all the examples for heliophytes. Whereas xeophytes, you must be knowing it because I already told you while I'm explaining about plant kingdom. Bryophytes and pteridophytes, they don't prefer to grow under direct sunlight. They always require shady places, so they are called as xeophytes. This point I already explained while I'm explaining about this plant kingdom. The most important topic is etiolation, very simply called as etiolated plants. Etiolated plants or etiolation means the process of flowering plants to grow under partial or complete absence of sunlight. That means some of the flowering plants, they grow under complete absence or very less amount of sunlight. Then that plants are called as etiolated plants, and that process it is called as etiolation. Whereas etiolated plants are characterized by long, thin, weak, and yellow colored leaves. So a stem, it will be little long, thin, and weak, whereas the leaves color will be yellow. So these are few characteristics of etiolated plants. And the seedlings which grow in dark is known as scutomorphogenesis or etiolated seedlings. That means if the plants, they are growing under absence of sunlight, then that is called etiolated plants. Whereas the seedlings, if they germinate under the dark, then that is called as scutomorphogenesis or etiolated seedlings. And etiolation, it is caused due to a phytohormone that is called as auxin. Students, I will explain this auxins in plant growth and development. Now, just for now, you just remember auxin. This is the word which you need to remember, but detailed explanation I am going to give about auxin while I am explaining about plant growth and development. Now, stratification in lake on basis of light. That means according to the light penetration, this water that is present in the lake, it is divided into various zones or various regions, and this zonation, a division of these particular zones in the lake according to the light penetration is called as stratification. And the next point is a compensation point. Compensation point means amount of light intensity where rate of photosynthesis exactly matches rate of respiration. That is called as a compensation point. I'll explain you little more clearly. Now, if you take the upper layer of the water, may see here for your clarity, I've shown you also, this is sun, and you can be able to see upper layer of the Water, it is receiving more sunlight when you compare to the lower regions of the lake or water body. That means here more photosynthetic organisms are present. Why? Because the light penetration is there, so that more photosynthetic organisms are present in the upper layer. Whereas as you go down, here the light penetration, it is going to be decreased. That's why here what happens, the number of photosynthetic organisms, it will decrease. So here the photosynthesis is more and respiration is less. Why? Because they are producing more food, but kitna amount of food it is produced by them, pura they are not going to utilize. Only some amount of food material which is synthesized by the plant, it will be utilized for its energy. Respiration means what? Production of energy. That means just only I am students, I am telling this only for your example, only for your understanding I am telling this. Let us take 100 grams of glucose is produced by one plant body. Do you think all the 100 grams of the glucose it is utilized by the plant for its respiration? Respiration means production of energy. It is not possible. Only some amount, let us only for your example sake I am telling you, out of 100 grams of glucose, maximum amount of glucose it is utilized by the plant for its energy is 50%. Remaining 50% it will store. That means here the upper zone may photosynthesis rate is high, whereas respiration rate is low, because only kitna chahiye, how much amount of energy is required, only that much amount of food material it will be utilized. Whereas here, now let us go little down. Here light penetration is very less, whereas here light penetration is completely absent. So this organisms utilizes the upper photosynthetic organisms as their food, whereas here the photosynthesis is less, whereas respiration is more. Why? Because they are not producing their own food material, they are depending upon the upper layer for their food material. Hope you understand what is respiration and what is photosynthesis. Such photosynthesis and respiration rates, if they become equal, and that particular equilibrium is called as compensation point. Students, I think I explained you clearly about compensation point, but still any query, any doubt, you can WhatsApp me. I have created exclusive group for you. By into that group, any doubt you can be able to message me, I will answer it. Compensation point means the rate of photosynthesis, if it exactly matches the rate of respiration, then that is called as compensation point. And I will explain all these by showing one flow chart. Now, stratification of lake on the basis of light. On the basis of light, the water bodies can be differentiated into two zones. The first one is littoral zone and the next one is limnatic or pelagic zone. Whereas littoral zone means, I will show you the upper diagram so that you can clearly observe it. Now, this is a lake. Now, this is all water. Let us consider this is all water. Now, what happened? This is the bank or shore of this particular lake. So, this particular region, that means the bank of this particular lake, it is called as a littoral zone. See, clearly you can be able to see this arrow mark. Are you seeing it? So, this particular zone where almost you can be able to see the water thickness is very less. So this is a bank. Almost here you can be able to take bath also. You can go, you can be able to enter and you can be able to take bath. But here if you go, you can't be able to come out because here the depth is more. So you can't be able to come out. So here you can be able to walk also. So this particular region is called as a littoral zone where you can be able to see green plants. Did you notice it? So these are all green plants. So this particular zone, it is called as a littoral zone, whereas this is called as a limnatic zone. So here it will be more clear here, I think so. So this is a littoral zone where you can be able to see green plants, whereas here the depth it became more. So this is called as a limnatic zone. So the first zone it is called as littoral zone. So till here it is called as a littoral zone. I'll show it. So follow this arrow mark or this cursor. So here this is called as littoral zone. So this is all called as littoral zone, and from here this is all called as a limnatic zone. Again, limnatic zone, based on the penetration of light, again it is divided into photic zone, which is further divided into euphotic zone and dysphotic zone. Here students, we can be able to see clearly some this lines also, so that you can be able to differentiate one zone to another zone. So this is called as photic zone, which is further divided into euphotic zone and dysphotic zone. Students, I'll explain you what is euphotic zone and dysphotic zone. And next to dysphotic zone, here almost light is not there. See, only till dysphotic zone you can be able to see some amount of light penetration, whereas in profundal zone you can't be able to see the light, only reflection of this light only can be able to see in profundal zone. Whereas benthic zone may zero sunlight, there is no amount of sunlight. That means I can say this is a dark zone. Hope you understand. This bank or shore of this particular lake, it is called littoral zone, whereas the light penetrating area it is called as limnatic zone. And again, limnatic zone, it is differentiated into photic zone, which is further divided into euphotic zone and dysphotic zone, and second zone is profundal zone, whereas the darkest zone it is called as benthic zone. So these are the various regions or zones divided based on the penetration of the sunlight. Let us discuss it little more clearly. Now let us come stratification of lake on the basis of light. The first one, it is called as a littoral zone, and second one is limnatic zone. Littoral zone means this is a zone which includes the banks or boundaries of the river. Students, you remember now, I have shown it just 1 minute back, so you please try to recollect, or otherwise I am posting this video, just you can forward it. I'm sorry, you can come back and again you can be able to see that images. So the bank or boundaries of this particular water, it is called as a littoral zone, whereas it is usually warmer and shallow water it is present with lot number of plants. So many plants you can be able to see, and many of the plants are rooted and in the muddy floor, and their leaves forms good hideout for insects and fishes. There this fishes and also insects, they will hide themselves between these particular trees or under this particular leaves. And you can also see lots of fishes, frogs, reptiles, insects in this particular littoral zone. Students, just for your clarity, again I am showing you. So this is littoral zone. So this is, and here also you can see this is a littoral zone. Okay, now let us take the next one. Now this is called limnatic zone. Limnatic zone means this is a zone which is just present next to the littoral zone, where fishes and free floating plants can be seen, whereas there is enough of sunlight here, and many algae and phytoplanktons and also zooplanktons, both phytoplanktons and also zooplanktons can be seen in this particular limnatic zone. Whereas limnatic zone, again based on the penetration of sunlight, it is divided into photic zone, next one is profundal zone, and the next one is, and of course last one is benthic zone. Photic zone, again it is distinguished into euphotic zone or dysphotic zone. Euphotic zone means this is a layer which is closer to the surface, receive plenty of sunlight, whereas dysphotic zone means it is just below the euphotic zone, whereas the respiration is more than photosynthesis. Students, please recollect again compensation point. Euphotic zone may rate of photosynthesis is more than the rate of respiration, whereas the dysphotic zone may rate of respiration is high than rate of photosynthesis. Again I am telling you now. This is photic zone. Photic zone may, so this is euphotic zone. Here you can be able to see more light penetration, so more photosynthesis, and all the food material which is produced by the photosynthesis will not be able to utilize it by the plant. Only some amount it will be utilized by the plant, and remaining it will store. Am I correct? Whereas dysphotic zone may, they cannot be able to perform photosynthesis. They are utilizing this particular plants or this particular phytoplanktons as their food material. So here rate of respiration is more, whereas rate of photosynthesis is less. So euphotic zone may rate of respiration is less, rate of photosynthesis is more. Dysphotic zone may rate of respiration is more, whereas rate of photosynthesis is less. Hope you understand. Now, the next one is profundal zone. It is present a little deeper to the photic zone. That means next to the photic zone, you can be able to see what? Profundal zone. Profundal zone, it is a deeper region of water with very, very less or even no sunlight also. Usually, because light penetration is not there, it will be usually cool in its temperature. Whereas living things in this region depends upon the organic matter for food. That means what? The upper photic zone may whatever the what you call, phytoplanktons and also some algae, they are going to be utilized as food material in the profundal zone. And benthic zone, that means completely bottom region of the lake is called as benthic zone. Here absolutely completely there is no question of sunlight here. That's why deepest region of the water body, deeper region of the water body is profundal, deepest region it is called as benthic. If you want, I will show you also. Now this is a deeper region, whereas this is the deepest region, that means completely down it is called as benthic, whereas little up, that means just below the photic zone, it is called as profundal zone. Whereas here no sunlight, very very little or even no photosynthesis, whereas organisms included here are bacteria, some worms, whereas the decomposers and some scavengers, only these type of organisms can be seen in benthic zone. Now the next point is stratification of ocean on the basis of light. Till now we explained about the lake, whereas now we are going to explain about the sea water. Whereas the shallow or the bank of this particular ocean, it is called as neritic zone. Here I'll show you. So this is called as neritic zone. Neritic zone means how you consider the bank of the lake as a littoral, like that bank of this particular ocean, it is called as a neritic zone. Whereas here the main water body can be divided into photic or euphotic zone, and next one is aphotic zone, that means the light is absent, whereas abyssal zone. And photic or euphotic zone, it ranges till 200 meters, whereas 200 to 4000 meters, here you can clearly see. So from top to till the depth of 200 meters, you will consider this is what? Photic. Whereas from 200 to 400 it is called as aphotic, and complete deeper region it is called as abyssal zone. Here complete darkness, no sunlight at all in this particular region. So these are various zones of the ocean. They are photic and aphotic and abyssal, and most important point is, and students, let me tell you so clearly, and stratification of ocean, it is not that important, but stratification of lakes is very very important. You have to read it. And coming to the important point, what I told important, you please focus on that properly, and remaining you just read it and focus on the important topics. Estuaries means this is a region where the river enters the ocean. That means the exact point where the fresh water it is merging into the ocean water. That means marine water. That point it is called as estuaries, and this point is very important. And the last topic of light is Gaidukov's phenomenon. Gaidukov's phenomenon can be also called as complementary chromatic adaptation, which is simply called as CCA, means algae absorbs maximum light to perform photosynthesis, or even more simply, the pigment's composition it changes according to the light to increase the efficiency of the maximum adaptation of light. That means in blue-green algae and also some cyanobacteria, what in some other algae, you can be able to see the pigment composition, it changes according to the sunlight, and this changing of the body of the color and composition of the pigment according to the sunlight, that process it is called as, or that phenomenon it is called as Gaidukov's phenomenon. Again I'm repeating it. Ability of some algae or some blue green algae to change their color and composition of photosynthetic pigments according to the light availability. It is called as Guidekoff's phenomenon. And few members of Cyanophyceae can change their color with respect to the wavelength of light. And this is a type of adaptation. This adaptation only you are calling it as Guidekoff's phenomenon. And friends, this Guidekoff's phenomenon is important. You have to remember it. Hope you understand. Thank you so much.